Welcome to the world of Illustrator. Illustrator is this orangey one that says AI, Adobe Illustrator. But instead of opening up Illustrator first, let's go to our on campus. So if you go right to our topics page, there will be a pin and anchor points topic. And there's an old tutorial that I made in COVID times, and I am whispering because I had roommates and I was trying to be quiet. Um, you can use that one, but I'm now making this one. We have an assignment sheet, but I don't even want you to worry about that today. Instead, there's a download here, and sometimes you can just click it. I can just click it and it will go to my downloads folder and I can just open it from there. Notice that it says .ai, that means it's an Illustrator file. Some of you, though, that doesn't work. It doesn't go straight to your downloads folder, in which case you can go right click and you want to um, save link as, I think. Yeah, and then you can do it and save it to your downloads, and it'll do the same thing where it will just put it where you want to, but you just may have to right click and tell it that you want it to save if it doesn't work. Okay, from your downloads folder, and I've done this 3 times, you can tell, you can click any one of these, are the same thing, but you can click it and it opens into Illustrator. Now, a few things about Illustrator, you may notice that it looks a little similar to Photoshop, hopefully. In the sense that, like, there are tools kind of surrounding a workspace. We have toolbar on the left, kind of a little bit more up here, and some stuff on the right. Just like Photoshop, you want to check the workspace you're in. I work in Essentials Classic. So again, if you're in something else, you may be seeing different tools or different menus. So you just want to make sure that you are in Essentials Classic. At any time, if you accidentally, like, I don't know, some people like accidentally get rid of their toolbar, like so, you can always go back to your workspace and reset your workspace and it will bring back all the tools. Okay, from here, let's start with the mouth. So I'm using some keyboard shortcuts here. So to zoom in and zoom out, you can do Command plus to zoom in and Command minus to zoom out. I have a trackpad because I'm using my laptop to make this, but your magic mice also, like the middle part, just scrolls left, right, up, and down. Or if you hold the space bar, your cursor turns from a little arrow to a hand, and you can grab the screen and drag to where you want to be. Great. Let's start on this mouth. And you notice that there's sharp corners here and they're numbered. So, real quick, I want to talk about the pen tool. So, we're going to use the pen tool, which is P on your keyboard, P as in pen. I am now in the pen tool because I used the keyboard shortcut, P. And it looks like this fountainhead and it has an asterisk next to it. An asterisk means that I'm just going to start a new shape. Something you should know is it's different from your brush tool. This is a paintbrush tool. If you do a paintbrush tool, you click and drag and you kind of draw along your computer as if you are drawing on a page, except digitally. The thing is, and I'm going to go back kind of to my selection tool, is the brush tool creates what are called a bunch of anchor points automatically. It's kind of guessing where you want to draw. So it's less precise than what we're going to use with the pen tool. Like all these little boxes here, these are their anchor points. And so I can pick them up and move them. And this is why it's like much more precise to use the pen tool rather than the brush tool. So I'm going to go ahead and just delete all the things I've done here. Um, so it's not like that. You don't click and drag and kind of draw. It works a little bit differently and it takes some getting used to. So instead, what you do is you click once and let go. So I'm just going to click on number 1 and let go. You can see that when I move my cursor, I haven't clicked a second time, but when I move my cursor, there's this blue line that's kind of following where my cursor is at. So as you can guess, there are numbers here for a reason. I'm going to click over number 2. And what that does is it solidifies the line between this anchor point and this anchor point. That's what they're called. So a pen, instead of drawing like you would on a page on the computer, it acts more like a map where you're mapping out where anchor points are going to go to create a shape. So I'm going to do this. When you click once and let go, it gives you straight lines. So just click a couple, all I'm doing is hovering over the number and then clicking and letting go immediately. Clicking and letting go. You might notice that there are some symbols that appear. So right when I first pulled up the pen tool, there was a little asterisk, like a little star next to it. Now hovering over this anchor point that I just clicked and made, there's a caret. And the one you want to pay attention to, because I want to finish my shape, you could finish by getting close, but then it's not fully formally finished. Instead, I want to hover over that first anchor point I made until I see that circle. That circle means you're going to close the shape. So I want that. Great. So now I've practiced straight lines by making teeth. I could do all sorts of other stuff. These are some funky straight lines. And of course, you always want to finish your shape. So you find the circle. You could do all that, but that's how you create a straight line, by just clicking once to drop an anchor point and then going to your next destination. And this can be a little trippy, so I want us to all be aware. From here, I hit V to get to my selection tool, which is also this dark cursor here on the left. And you can see when I hover over the selection, it says V, which is the keyboard shortcut. Once I do that, I kind of have some options here in the properties panel on the right. So I've selected it. If you don't have anything selected, there won't be any properties for it. So you have to click on it so it's highlighted. And you can do things like change the fill and stroke. So I can also change the thickness of the stroke. So mine just had no fill, that's this white slash, and a black stroke at one point, but I can make it thicker. If I click on the word stroke, I can also make it rounded at the corners and caps. I can make it a dash line if I want. I don't want it to be a dash line. And you can change the color here. But you'll see it'll just give you a color palette. And likewise for the fill. So another area you can change colors is over here on the left in your tool panel. So same thing, this one is my fill and this is my stroke. But this time if you double click, you'll get this kind of rainbow menu and you can hover over the color that you want. And you can do the same with the stroke. You just double click on the stroke menu. Okay. And that is the selection tool and drawing straight lines with the pen tool. So I'm going to zoom out a little bit. Pause. That's that. You can now zoom in and scroll or drag using the spacebar to grab the screen over to the part 2. Oops. Oh my gosh. Here we go. This is where I'm going to draw antennas. Okay, I'm trying to get rid of this. Stop. Hide bar. Okay, great. Okay. You might notice these are not straight lines. So I'm going to go back to my fill and make sure that it has none. Otherwise, it's get confusing. So if you're in the pen tool, I just hit P to get to the pen tool, and you draw with a fill color, it's going to try to fill as you go, and it's going to do like really wonky stuff. So that's not what I want. I just want to draw with my pen tool without a fill. So I'm going to hit this none. You make sure the fill is on top, and you hit none. Okay. Let's get started with drawing these. So from the pen tool, right, I have my asterisk, which is correct because you're starting a new shape. Now, we just learned straight lines, which you just click and release, right? And so that gives us a straight line antenna, which again, I'm hitting V to select it and then to delete it. But you don't want that. So curved lines are a little different. You're still not doing what the brush tool is. You're still not going to go like this. It's very tempting to do so, but you don't want to do it. It just won't be as precise. Instead, you can create curved lines here using the pen tool. So to click once, it's a straight line. And if you click and drag in the pen tool, you want to drag, this is a pro tip, in the direction sort of where your next anchor point is going. And in this worksheet, the anchor points are numbered for you, so you know you're going that way. These handles, these two things that are popping off the anchor point right now, that is not your line. They're just handles. And the handles appear sort of like when you're telling the program you would like it to be a curved line. So I'm still holding down on my mouse or my trackpad, whatever. So I'm clicking, dragging in the general direction, and now I let go. There you go. So this, if I clicked anywhere, like that is the line that I created. But notice that it's curved, okay? So you can ignore those handles for now and you just go to where your second anchor point is going to drop here. And same thing, you're going to click and drag. And now I can kind of pay attention. If I let go, like again, these handles are not the line, but if I let go and kind of move with the geometry of it, if I let go right here, like the line that follows between those anchor points is the line that will appear. So there we go. And so same thing, I'm not clicking and then I'm going to 3 and I'm clicking and dragging so that those handles appear. And this is another thing, like the straight lines are easier to pick up. This can be really, really hard and difficult for people. So be easy on yourselves. I'm going to hit V to get to the selection to get out of that one since I'm not completing my shape here. And I can make my stroke bigger. That's kind of easier to hide mistakes there. But that is how you make a curved line. And so there's another one for practice, and I would suggest that you do it. But remember, you click and drag to create handles. The handles are not the line that you are creating, but rather you're just indicating to the Illustrator program that you would like to make a curved line. Awesome. This is where I usually get a lot of trip up. So honestly, if you get here and you need to stop here, that's okay. Additionally, I get a lot of kiddos that do this where they will go and then they will try to, for some reason, go back to the anchor point or back to a handle and they'll click on it and then move forward. But what that does is it just made another anchor point randomly. So like if I clicked here, it just makes more anchor points. So that's not what you're trying to do. Ignore the handles. And then I also, what do I get? I get kids who start off great. This first one's curved, but then they just click here and then they curve this one, but then they click here, which what's happening there when you curve and then click is these anchor points on the right, this one, and this one, all have handles and are curved. But this, like what you've done is you've made a curve into a straight line, out of a straight line into a curve. And that's why it looks like this. And like it's fixable, but it can be kind of difficult. Let's see. Other things you can do. So let's say you're new to this tool. So it's a little wonky. So let's say you've done it. It's a curved line, but you don't love the way it looks. It's, I don't know, something like this. So V is a selection tool. And if I do that, I can click anywhere actually on the shape when it has this rectangular kind of selection made here. And you can see it moves the entire antenna. But you can also edit the shape by using the direct selection tool, which is A on your keyboard. So I'm going to use A on my keyboard. And it's the cursor that's lighter, the lighter cursor. And when I click on an anchor point now, you can see where the anchor point is and its handles. So I can both adjust each individual anchor point and I can adjust its handles. Something to note is that the way the line looks depends on both the angle of the handle and how far away it is from the anchor point. So, right, like it's in the same angle ish when I move it like this, but the line looks really different because I'm moving the handle farther and farther away from the anchor point. So, honestly, in that way, it's a little bit like geometry and math. We're just not going to use formulas or anything to calculate it. But like, right, the trajectory of these handles is what defines how the line looks here. All right, that's antennas. If this is as far as you get today with the straight lines and the antennas, I think that's awesome. But real quickly, I will scroll to the mouth and film this part if you're advanced here. So with this one, some things to note. You can see if I'm in the pin tool and I have my anchor point, great. There's still anchor points, right? But now they've kind of guessed where handles might go if you had handles. And notice that the handles are broken. These are what we call broken handles, like this one on the 5. See how it looks like a V? If you make if you make a curved line, so let's go ahead and do this. And I'm clicking on this. Notice that these handles are connected in every way. If I move the one I'm clicking down and to the left, the other one goes up and to the right. They are connected, which is another reason why this can be a skill that's hard to pick up because our brains just don't function like that normally. And it can be a weird skill to pick up. So when your shape looks odd, it's probably because something with your anchor point is weird. So like I made a loop-de-loop because these are all connected. Okay? So your anchor points or your handles are connected. But notice these are broken. And so you can do this two ways. You can do this after you make a shape. So I made this curved line, and if I hold down Option and then move the end of a handle and then let go of Option, now it's broken. So you can see they're not connected anymore. This handle's over here. This handle's over here. They are not connected. So you can hold down Option to break shapes or break handles after you've designed the shape. So that's one way you could do this mouth. You could get it as close as you could, like this, even though you know it will be a little wonky. And then you can go to A or your direct selection and then hold down Option, click and hold down Option, and you can fix it after the fact. Right? That's one way to do this, which is a totally plausible way to do it. You can also do it as you go. So I'm going to show that. One thing to be very careful with the Option and changing or breaking the handles after they're created is if I hold down Option and I click something, what it does is it actually duplicates it. So I do get kids that so they somehow duplicate a handle or one part of a line or an entire shape, which is a great thing. If I were to go over here and just create a shape here with the shape tool, and I wanted to copy it, I could just select it and then hold down Option and copy it, and you could copy it a bunch of times, which is great. But when you're messing with handles, you don't want to copy the handle. You want to break it. Additionally, you only have to break it once. So I am not holding down Option anymore. I am just moving the handles. So all of these are already broken from one another. And so I do not have to hold down Option anymore. It is free. I can just go back and adjust my line. Cool. So that's one way you can do it. Or, this is fun. I call it the carrot technique. So remember this asterisk or this little star next to the pen tool that tells me that I'm going to create a new shape. I'm going to click and drag till that handle about matches up. And then here I'm going to click and drag, and I'm just paying attention to the line that follows behind. So you'll see that that handle on the left kind of matches where it says it will go. This is where those symbols come back. So if I hover over this anchor point that already exists, you're going to see that little caret symbol. So that's why I call it the carrot technique. It is not a creative name. But that caret symbol lets you know that it's going to split the handles for you as you go. So I'm going to click it, and notice how that handle that was there just went away. And now I can keep going. And you can tell, oh, it's going to go, yep. I'm just going to follow the line behind me. Maybe zooming out would be helpful. Right? And so now I have the shape, and those handles are already broken. So same thing. This is a straight line. So I want to go here till I hit the caret. All right, till I see the caret, I'm going to hit the anchor point. And then there we go. It's just a straight line, so I don't need to click and drag. Here, I need to click and drag because it's going to be a curved line here. And then same thing, caret, and that carets it. And you always want to finish your shape, so make sure you see that circle. And if I just click once, it's going to create a straight line, and that's not what you want. So you want to finish with a click and drag because it finishes on a curved line. So those are the two ways you can sort of make this shape that has a mix of different types of lines is changing directions. You can either fix it after the fact, or you can use the caret technique. Okay, I think that's all I have. We'll continue to talk about this, but practice with this today.